Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of Two Vegans Hanging Out. Today we have a very special guest, my friend Jacky. She's the owner of BeetxBeet, which is an awesome clothing brand that I am super fond of, and half of my closet is full of her clothes. So I wanted to bring her on today to talk about her awesome company and her journey through veganism. So Jacky, thank you so much for being here today.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be on the show and hanging out.
And we're both wearing our BeetxBeet clothing. I've got my The Future is Vegan shirt on.
Yes, love it. This is our new Plants Rhinestone tee. So taking it back to the 2000s.
I love it. Very cool. And we were talking about how that's trending now. So you're definitely ahead of the times, I think, in terms of what's going on with fashion. And I have to defer to you on that because it is not my forte.
Yeah. No worries. Yeah, it's definitely coming back. So wanted to jump on that trend and see what we can do with it. And yeah, it's fun. I love it.
That's awesome. Very cool. So to get started, do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, I am originally from Atlanta, Georgia, and I moved to California about, almost 10 years ago. So I feel like this is my home now, and I love it here. Let's see, I'm super into rollerblading right now, which is something that I used to do as a teenager. They used to call it aggressive skating, and so it's like going on ramps and rails, grinding rails and stuff like that. So I'm doing that, which is so fun, and it's such a great community. It reminds me of getting into the vegan community and just meeting so many people, and everybody's so supportive, and it's just super fun. And I'm a graphic designer by trade. So I went to school for that, and that has definitely helped me with my business. I have a background in the fashion industry, in the apparel industry, and been doing t-shirt graphics for a long time. So yeah, I kind of took all that knowledge with me when I started my brand. And what else can I tell you? Yeah.
That's awesome. I think that's really great. But do you want to tell us a little bit about how BeetxBeet got started and sort of what that journey has been like for you?
Sure. So when I moved to California, I was doing some freelance work and got a full-time job doing graphic design for an apparel brand. And at the time, I was just looking online for a vegan t-shirt, and I was probably vegan for about a year at that point. And there wasn't many options around, and there wasn't anything that I saw that was really speaking to my fashion sense and my style, and something that I would actually want to wear. There wasn't anything wrong with what was out there. It was just just didn't fit my vibe. So I just thought, I have all this experience in the apparel industry. I know how all this works. I am a graphic designer, so I can do all the things I need to do for that. And I was like, why not just start this up on my own and create something that could be more fitting for people who have similar style to me. And, just being passionate about veganism and wanting to spread the word. And this would be a way to help, the whole movement. So it just made a lot of sense to me. And I ended up calling everyone I knew that owned a business and was an entrepreneur, and just tried to get all the advice that I could, and how do I do this and that. And then I just kind of took it one step at a time, and created the business, and while I was still working full time. And just kind of built it up along the way and was able to take it full time, and have been doing that for the last 7 years. So it's definitely been a crazy journey. But yeah, it's like, I almost feel like it's one of those things where I feel like in my life, everything that I've done with my experiences in my career have kind of led me to doing this job, or having this sort of like career path. And it's just crazy, like how things kind of have worked out that way. And yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's very cool. And I don't think very many people get to say that they get to marry their something that they're passionate about with their everyday work. So not only your passion for skate culture and for graphic design, but also for animal rights, and partnering that all together to create this awesome business. It's really cool. I think along with like the boom of vegan apparel, that's also when just veganism as a lifestyle was getting more attention and beginning to grow. Because as we know, the vegan lifestyle has been around forever, long before our time, right? But I think in terms of modern day, it hasn't really taken off until recently. You know, even in the last few years, we've all seen a big explosion of vegan products and vegan options in places you wouldn't expect it, you know, like KFC, things like that. So it's been really cool to see how it's grown.
Yeah, absolutely. I can remember, I've been vegan for 9 years now. And I can remember when I first started, like when Starbucks first got soy milk. And it was like, oh my God, Starbucks has soy milk. Like, this is amazing. You have to pay $2 extra for it, but.
So sad. And you still do have to pay extra. Ugh, it's the worst.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, at least now there's like a billion milks, plant-based milks that you can get,
right?
Which is like so crazy. And I remember thinking back then too, like I was like, wow, I wonder if fast food companies would ever have something vegan, and like that was just such a futuristic thought. And like now it's such a real thing, and it's like mind blowing that that's something that's actually happening. And it's just come such a long way. And I mean, gosh, I remember when I first went vegan, I was traveling on a road trip with my family, and we were driving down, this was when I lived in Georgia, we were driving down to Florida to visit my grandmother. And on the road trip, we were stopping to get something to eat, and like it was hard back then. Like,
right.
I mean, I couldn't get like go to Subway and get like a veggie sandwich, or like most of the time it was like salad bars at places, or, you know, you had to kind of get creative, right?
Right.
And I was just kind of sick of like eating that stuff. I'm like, I want a hot meal. I want like, you know, something like more
like substantial, right?
Yeah, than just like a sandwich or a salad, you know. And we finally stopped at a restaurant. I think it was like a Ruby Tuesday or something, and they had like on the kids menu there was a veggie pasta, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. Like, finally I can eat something, you know.
Oh my gosh.
That's more. And the waitress comes over and is getting our order, and I order the veggie pasta, and I was so excited. And she's like, I'm so sorry, we're out of that. We don't have it. And I just like broke down. I couldn't handle it. I was just like bawling at the table.
Oh my God.
It just got like too much, you know? And my family was just like, okay. Are you all right?
They're like, no, I'm not all right. I'm starving and no one's feeding me. Yeah. Oh, that's awful. So you were really doing it when it was really hard to be vegan, because I feel like I joined this so late that when I found out Starbucks had oat milk, I was really excited. You know, like it was great. And I feel like I have had zero trouble. It's just become so much easier. And when I go to like a friend's wedding or something, you know, Brian and I are the vegans, and so they always have food aside for us. Like the last wedding I went to, my friend had vegan cupcakes, and she was like, these are for you, right? This is the dessert you can have. And so people have been really awesome about it. You know, especially my friends and family, they're always really considerate. But they always just think of us before we go somewhere, which is really cool. We've never had any pushback from them, which was really helpful because I think it made it an easier journey.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also, that's so cool that you've had that good experience with like family and everything. I think just the accessibility of veganism and plant-based, and just hearing it now throughout like movies and TV shows, and like, you know, there's characters, you know, that are based on being vegan and stuff, and it's just more like out there socially. And so I think, you know, nowadays it's easy for people to hear that someone's coming to a party, dinner party, whatever, that's vegan, and they can be like, oh, okay, I can just look that up.
Yeah.
Find a recipe, no big deal. It's not like as scary as maybe it would have been back in the day. I was thinking about, I was raised Jewish. I'm not religious, but for Hanukkah, my grandmother would always make like, you know, all these different recipes. And I, over the years, have figured out how to veganize a lot of them.
Cool.
And I'm just so stoked about it because I'm like, yes. And recently I was back home and I made some of those recipes for my family, and yeah, they loved them, and I was like, see,
that's so great. I love that.
We still have these like traditions of these recipes.
Oh, that's the best. Yeah,
it's so super fun.
That's super cool. Yeah, I think food is the key. I think feeding people is just the way to do it. And I've been to places or like gatherings with friends where everyone's bringing a dish, and mine always goes first, and usually mine's the only vegan one, but it's the most popular. I don't mind bragging about this because I'm really proud of like my vegan creations, but I think there's something special about taking like a family tradition or a recipe like what you're saying and making it vegan. And I don't know. I mean, it's been really cool doing that for Thanksgiving. I've had family over, and I figured out how to make like a carvable seitan roast. And it took, I mean, like with the whole process, it took like 48 hours because there's like, it's just this whole thing, but it was totally worth it. And I cooked for my whole family, and they were like, wow, this turkey, right, is super good. It had more protein than turkey does, right? And it was just this moment where they were so excited because I served everything you would think to have, right? So like, I don't know, yams and marshmallows or whatever, like you can make anything, and no one ever leaves my house hungry, right? And they always want to take home leftovers. And so that's kind of just been in addition to doing the work that I do and helping people transition to plant-based, I like to feed people. So that's my trick. So since we're talking about vegan lifestyle, have you noticed any other changes or shifts in your life, or just in your life, I guess, since going vegan? Maybe in terms of like what you do with your free time or whatever. Has it changed other aspects? Other than food?
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, as far as food goes, like I loved cooking before, and I think it just made me love it that much more because I started to try so many new foods that I'd never eaten before. Yeah. And different recipes and stuff, and testing out like how to veganize things. So that was cool, like just being able to be creative in the kitchen. And let's see, what else? I'm trying to think. I mean, I don't know if this is correlated, but I like to think it is. And so I used to have a lot of allergy issues and like sinus problems and things. Yeah. And I had used to get like allergy shots all the time. But at the same time I started that, it was when I went vegan. And then I ended up like stopping the allergy shots like probably a year after. And now I feel like I don't really have any issues with that, or I haven't for a really long time. So I want to contribute that to being vegan.
I think you can. I absolutely think you can. I've talked to a lot of people who, like, I think their pre-vegan bodies were different in terms of like allergies or like bloating or gastrointestinal problems. I had IBS all through high school, which was a really uncomfortable and an embarrassing thing to have when you're a high school student. My stomach was just a mess. And when I went vegetarian initially, like some of the problems went away because I was obviously increasing like vegetables and like fiber intake and things like that. But then when I went vegan, it was like from day to night. It was just any stomach problem I had had before completely went away. I don't even get an upset stomach anymore. Like I was getting like acid reflux stuff. It was just, I was a total wreck. And then when I changed my nutrition, it just went away. I mean, it was like kind of like magic. So I definitely think, and I believe in the importance of like eating for our biology, and a lot of the stuff that we're encouraged to eat, especially in the United States, is not in the long term or the short term good for any of our systems, you know, in terms of allergies, you know, stomach issues, all that stuff. So I believe it. You're not the first person to tell me that. So
That's cool. Awesome.
like I just wanted to tell you, anytime you've posted something you've cooked for yourself, I'm like, that looks amazing and I want to come over for dinner. Like,
yes. Thank you. Yeah, I feel like at home I eat very like whole foods plant-based.
That's great.
But when I go out, I eat like I'll eat whatever. So I kind of try to keep that balance. But yeah, because normally I don't really buy a lot of the plant-based alternative like meat products and things when I'm at home. Right. Every now and then I will, like for different, like obviously for different holidays, like 4th of July or something, if I'm cooking out or doing something like that.
Sure.
I'll do that. But yeah, I like to eat that way. I think it's because I started out, when I first went vegan, I was just like, I'm a researcher. So I just dive heavy into like figuring things out and just like trying to know the most I can about something. And when I was doing that for veganism and learning how to eat properly, it was all about, I watched Forks Over Knives. Yeah. That's what made me vegan. And so, and so, you know, the whole Dr. Esselstyn and Engine 2 and all that stuff, it's all whole foods plant-based. So I feel like that really influenced me and the way that I learned how to eat plant-based. So that's kind of like what I try to stick to.
That's great. I think that's awesome. I think as a symptom of me having joined the vegan club a little bit late, I do get excited when a new faux meat comes out and I'm like, we have to buy it immediately. And then because I want to tell my clients about it too, but I have noticed, I guess this year I've been trending towards cooking more whole food plant-based at home, but I would be lying if I said I didn't have a freezer full of like Impossible products or like Omni products. So like it's there. But I'm trying to eat more whole food plant-based, but it is difficult because I just get so excited when something new comes out and I just want to like try it. So I land somewhere like in between junk food vegan and whole food plant-based.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's so funny.
So you mentioned you loved cooking. I feel like I strayed so far from what I was going to ask you, but that's okay. Do you have like a favorite go-to recipe you like to make at home?
Oh, so I'm pretty like regimented in my, I guess, schedule for like meals and stuff during the week, because I definitely plan out like what I'm going to eat. And I try, like, I'm very like, make sure I want to use everything that I buy. Yeah. And not like, waste a bunch of stuff. So I plan out like every meal that I'm going to have for the week, and then just get the ingredients for that. And it works pretty well. But as far as like a go-to meal, I make a lot of bowls, and I make like if I want pasta, there's like a bolognese recipe that I love. It's from Vegan Hugs, the blog. And that one's super good. It's made with walnuts. Yeah, it's so tasty.
That sounds good.
I do a lot of like, they're just like a lot of bowls, I guess. So like I'll switch it up and do like Mexican style ones, or Asian ones. Or like Southern ones, like barbecue.
Yeah. That's cool. I feel like I do the same thing. I rotate through. So like one week it's like a Buddha bowl, and then the next week it's like a taco bowl. Like, so it's amazing what you can like put together with some of the same ingredients, but just changing the seasoning or like the sauce, and you've got like a totally different dish, but it's still really balanced. So I think that's a good way to go, especially for people. I feel like when they're first trying out plant-based options, I encourage them to do bowls, because salads aren't always fun, but bowls are, and like you can customize them. Or I recommend like avocado toast, because there's a lot you can do with an avocado toast in terms of like you can add nooch or like veggies or whatever. And so I think those are good like starting recipes for people who maybe even people who are picky, who need to be selective about what goes into their food. Bowls are a good place to start. So do you have
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, I want to shout out my friend Megan Sad.
Mm-hmm.
She is a what's the word? Oh my gosh. You know, someone who cooks.
She's a chef?
Yeah, thank you. Oh my God. Total brain fart. Wow. She's a chef, plant-based chef. And she has a couple cookbooks, and I always use recipes from her. And right now I'm on this, like, she has a really good curry recipe that I'm on that a lot. So it's so good. She has so much amazing things that are super easy to make. So yeah.
Where can we find her? Does she have a website?
She has a website and Instagram. Let me make sure how to spell her last name really quick so I don't mess that up. But her Instagram is Carrots and Flowers, and her last name is spelled S-A-D-D.
S-A-D-D. Carrots and Flowers. That's a super cute name. Well, I'll be sure to link her stuff in the description of the video too, so people can find her, along with obviously all of your stuff.
Awesome.
So since we're talking about food, I knew that this was going to become a conversation about food. Do you have a favorite vegan restaurant? And it can be anywhere. It doesn't have to be in LA.
Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is so hard because I feel like there's so many good places everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I really feel like when I get this question, it's like, it really depends on what mood I'm in, or like what I want to eat, because that changes the answer. You know what I mean? Because like if I really want pizza, it's like I know exactly where the good pizza is, you know, or
Pura
like,
Vida?
if I want, Pura Vita's good, although
you're gonna say hot tongue, right?
I'm gonna say hot tongue. Yes, they are actually one of my favorites. They're super amazing. Also, there's Double Zero.
Double Zero.
I don't know if you've ever had them, but pizza is one of those things. It's like there's different types of pizza, so that you can get like the more fancy pizza, or the more like, you know, I don't know, just like
pizza, right?
Pizza.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's different, you know, places that do those really well, but yeah. And then I think about one of my all-time favorite places is called Just What I Needed.
Oh, I've been wanting to go there.
Yeah, in Frogtown here in LA.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a vegan bakery. they make all kinds of different pastries. They do sandwiches. It's just incredible. Like everything they do is so good, and the owner is so amazing, and I love everything about it.
That's awesome. I feel like you're making me hungry. I'm hungry now. I haven't been to Hot Tongue yet, but I do love pizza, and it's on my list. I have been to Pura Vida and I've been to Double Zero, so I think Hot Tongue is next on my pizza journey. I don't live super close to LA, but I do make the drive in for food that is worthy. So I'll have to add that to my list of places to try. Do you have any advice for people who are considering going vegan or sort of making the switch to a more plant-based lifestyle?
Yes, that makes me think about Colleen Patrick Boudreau, aka CPG, if you have heard about her before. She's amazing. She's incredible. She's like one of the first people that I discovered when I went vegan, and she is like, I love her, the way that she talks about veganism and just lives her life, but she really explains things in a really great way. And one of her quotes is, she says, don't do nothing because you can't do everything. Do something, anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's great, because it's just saying like, it can be overwhelming to try to step into changing your lifestyle and eating plant-based or whatever it is, or becoming vegan. So you don't have to do everything all at once, because that can be a lot. You can just kind of take it one step at a time and start with one thing. If you're like, okay, I can change my milk, so I'm gonna switch out my milk, and then the next thing can be like, okay, I'm gonna stop eating chicken, do that. And the next one can be like, okay, I don't need to eat red meat anymore.
Sure.
So it's just like kind of taking those different steps. But I also say that I think it's really tied to a reason behind why you're doing something. So that is very powerful. So if you have a reason behind why you're doing this, I feel like you're going to stick to it, for the long run. And whether that's for your health, for the animals, for the environment, or all of the above, I think that's a good anchor, because people, when you go along and start to change things, and then you get into social situations or different social pressures, people can kind of forget about the reason they're doing something and just go along with whatever everybody else is doing. Right. And, and then it's like, okay, well, if you are in that situation and you think back to why you're doing something, and you're like, okay, yeah, I don't need to do this. And this is, like you were saying before, with that self-awareness of, doing something for yourself and really sticking to that. And what else? I would just say, everybody has their own journey, and it's just do what you think is going to be best for you. And also, I think it's important to really research and figure out nutritionally what it is that you need to be eating for every meal to be satisfied, because people can jump into wanting to be vegan or plant-based and they don't do any research about it and figure out what exactly they need to have. And so they might not be getting certain nutrients, and they might feel oh, I don't feel good, or they might just go back to what they were doing. But it could be that they were not getting certain nutrients and certain things in their diet, and they were not aware of that. So yeah, I think it's important to really understand what you're what you're getting into nutritionally. It took me about a year to fully transition to being vegan. And the last thing that I remember eating was like a slice of cheese pizza because I was hungover. And I was just like there and I'm like, oh, I'm just craving whatever. I'm just going to eat it because I was at a friend's house. And after that, I just felt like super guilty. And like, I was just like, why did I do that? It's not worth it. And like, after that, I was completely vegan. But where I'm going with that is sometimes you can have these like slip ups or, it might take you a while to fully transition. So like, just don't beat yourself up about it. Like if you happen to like eat something one day, like you don't have to throw out the whole idea of not continuing with it. And, we're human. So it's all good. Just, as long as you have like that, you can still continue. It's basically what I'm saying. You don't have to be hard on yourself about it.
Absolutely. I think that's a super important message because we've all had that happen. And like you said, this is a lifestyle. This isn't like a 30-day diet that you're trying to commit to. This is a big change that affects sort of all the decisions you make around consumption and the purchases you make. There's no benefit to being hard on yourself about it. And again, like you said, remembering your why, and what your motivations are going to absolutely kind of push you through as you move forward in this journey. And I think that the initial transition, it does take time. And I do think that there's some like growing pains there. I'm not going to pretend like it just magically happened and I was vegan one day and everything was easy. It took a long time to start reading ingredient labels and things like that. So I think give yourself the space to learn and like evolve in this and you'll get there, So I think that's good advice.
Yeah, agree. Totally.
So before we close this up, this awesome conversation about skating and food and everything else, did you want to tell everyone where they can find you online? And I'll link it in the description too, but where they can find Beet by Beet and buy some of your awesome clothing?
For sure. Well, BeetxBeet.com. It's spelled like the vegetable, and there's an X in between the two beets. So it looks like VegShe.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say it like tons of different ways, and it's so funny. But it's pronounced Beet by Beet. So we are on that as well on social media. So I'm most active on Instagram and TikTok, and awesome. You can find us there. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I wanted to thank you again for joining me for episode 3 of Two Vegans Hanging Out. It's been really cool to get to know you better and then share your journey with the folks who are watching. So thank you again. And I look forward to connecting at the next street fair or maybe over some lasagna.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to just say thank you for everything that you're doing. I think it's awesome. Helping people with the fitness aspect and with this channel and just spreading the word. And I feel like it's great that, there's so many things that you can do to help promote the lifestyle and, whatever speaks to you to, I guess everybody's got a different way of activism, so thanks for having me on.
No, of course. Thank you. And we'll just keep fighting the good fight.
For sure.
All right. Well, we'll see you again soon.
Right.
Thank you, Jacky.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks again, everybody, for joining me for this interview with Jacky from Beet by Beet. If you'd like to learn more about her business, I'm going to put links to her website and social media accounts in the description. And you can also find information for VegShe in the description as well. I hope that you enjoyed this episode of Two Vegans Hanging Out, and I hope you'll join us again next month for our next episode. Thanks so much, everybody.